Good evening and welcome to the 2020 CANIEAwards for the Prairies region. My name is Catherine Clark. I am a communications entrepreneur, a proud member of the Startup Canada community, and I'm absolutely delighted to be with all of you this evening. On behalf of the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation, thank you all for joining us at the third stop of the CANIEAwards digital series presented by Sovereign Insurance and UPS. It is an honor for us to recognize outstanding Canadian entrepreneurs and innovators while bringing inspiration through their stories of leadership and resilience. It is a privilege to be able to gather on this land for such a great celebration of entrepreneurship and innovation. Over the last decade, entrepreneurship in Canada has been on the rise, and the Prairies have turned out some of Canada's leading companies. From Skip the Dishes to Adibotics, this region has become a cornerstone in the country's entrepreneurship landscape. To begin, in the spirit of the Prairies Awards, I would like to acknowledge that this region is located on Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. We're grateful to them, and we're grateful to you for joining us for this recognition of outstanding achievement and excellence in Canadian entrepreneurship and innovation. We would also like to offer a very special thank you to our frontline health workers and all frontline workers. And we also want to thank those who support them. We offer our deepest gratitude to those risking their lives to save ours across Canada and around the world. Now, the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation is a national charity dedicated to educating and promoting innovation and entrepreneurship among aspiring, but also well-established business owners in marginalized communities. Its flagship program, the Canada Innovation and Entrepreneurship Awards, also known as the CANIEAwards, recognizes excellence in Canadian innovation and celebrates the legacy of the two powerhouses which made the foundation possible: Startup Canada, Canada's entrepreneurship organization, and the prestigious Ernest C. Manning Innovation Awards, which enhanced the Canadian innovation landscape for almost 4 decades. But before we get started, let's have a look at what the CANIEAwards are all about.
Canada is a nation of innovators and entrepreneurs, working together to build a better tomorrow. And the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation is committed to celebrating the Canadians leading the charge. With presenting support from UPS Canada and Sovereign Insurance, and national support from MasterCard and Scotiabank, the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation is pleased to welcome you to the first annual Canada Innovation and Entrepreneurship Awards, the CANIEAwards. The CANIEAwards are the merging of the prestigious Ernest C. Manning Innovation Awards, celebrating creators and disruptors since 1981, along with the Startup Canada Awards that have collectively recognized the achievements of over 650 entrepreneurs and innovators across Canada. The CANIEAwards are our pledge to celebrate and share the stories of Canada's visionaries, community builders, and innovative thinkers. This year, we're presenting the CANIEAwards digitally and focusing on hope, learning, and resiliency to help entrepreneurs come together and be inspired to build a better, brighter future. On behalf of our partners and all of us at the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation, welcome to the 2020 CANIEAwards.
These are indeed unusual times. Normally, the CANIEAwards would be celebrated with a big live event, but this year, as we all know, we're navigating through a pandemic. And so we're bringing you the CANIEAwards from the comfort of your own homes through a series of 5 online broadcasts. We want to use these broadcasts to recognize the impressive journeys and achievements of the inspiring disruptors who contribute every day to this country's entrepreneurial landscape, especially during these difficult times. The format of this year's ceremony is simple. We have 5 regional awards programs, including Ontario, British Columbia, the Prairies, Atlantic Canada, and Quebec. Regional winners will then move on to the national awards taking place this fall. This evening, we will be announcing the regional winners for the Prairies. Every recipient will be given an award, and I truly look forward to speaking briefly with each of them about their journey and about their advice and also their ideas for fellow entrepreneurs. The objectives of the awards are to recognize excellence and innovation in entrepreneurship across Canada by celebrating the impressive journeys and achievements of disruptors who are changing the face of the country. We also want to increase awareness of the importance of strengthening Canada's entrepreneurship ecosystem and culture, and to inspire Canada's present and future generations to be entrepreneurial innovators by sharing stories of leadership, resilience, disruption, and success. I'd like to take a moment to thank our partners. Thank you to our presenting sponsors, Sovereign Insurance and UPS, for their support and shared vision of the Canadian entrepreneurship community. Thank you to our national sponsors, MasterCard Canada and Scotiabank. And thank you to our nominating partners for the Prairies region, Alberta Women Entrepreneurs, Innovation Saskatchewan, and Startup Calgary. Throughout the event, we also hope you'll join in the celebration by using the hashtag CANIEAwards. Let's get these awards trending on social media, and let's help to amplify the success of entrepreneurs in Canada. We are really grateful that you've chosen to join us for the CANIEAwards for the Prairies region. We hope that the entrepreneurs recognized tonight inspire you. Now, we all know the importance of good public policy, and we also know that the government can play a key role in creating an environment for entrepreneurs to thrive. It therefore gives me tremendous pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Calgary, Naheed Nenshi. We are so glad to have you with us. Welcome, Mayor Nenshi.
Hi, I'm Naheed Nenshi. I'm the Mayor of Calgary, and it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the first ever digital tour of the Canadian Innovation and Entrepreneurship Awards. You know, these awards are new, but they build on a strong legacy of the Ernest C. Manning Innovation Awards, of the Startup Canada Awards, and an even stronger legacy of innovation and entrepreneurship here in this great country. Our country works because people do things differently, because we try to innovate in everything we do. And in these crazy times where we're so physically distanced, but we're trying to connect, in these times that none of us ever thought we would live through and none of us hope to ever live through again. In these times when we're asking ourselves questions like, how do we get to the other side of that mountain? When we're on the other side of that mountain, how do we hit the ground running? How do we get people back to work? How do we think about meaningful work? How do we think about how our own mindset has shifted to understand that folks who are cleaners and grocery store clerks and truck drivers and garbage collectors and bus drivers are really the people who keep this economy going? And they deserve to have the respect that we offer to our heroes in uniforms, who are our first responders, and our heroes in healthcare. And ultimately, how do we think about the economy in that new way to try and create prosperity for everyone? Those are questions entrepreneurs and innovators answer. That's why these awards and what we're celebrating today is as important now as ever. Take, for example, my friend James Betcher, one of the honorees this year. Now, if you look superficially and you'd say, what does James do? You'd say, well, he sells gelato. And he sells a lot of gelato. But he does way more than that. He uses the gelato to build community, to build a sustainable, thoughtful community for everyone. And that is exactly the kind of innovation and entrepreneurship that these awards celebrate every single day. So be inspired by the winners. Keep on innovating, keep on doing great things, keep on building our community. And in these times, please stay safe. It takes clean hands, clear heads, and open hearts. Stay home for those who can't. Be kind to everyone always, and together we'll save lives.
Thank you so much, Mayor Nenshi, for those very thoughtful remarks. And now's the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm delighted to begin the presentation of the 2020 Prairies CANIEAwards. This year on the CANIEAwards National Tour, we are presenting 8 CANIEAwards in each region under 4 categories. First, for organizations advancing the culture and environment for entrepreneurship in Canada. Second, for exemplifying the spirit of Canadian innovation. Third, for individuals demonstrating excellence in entrepreneurship. And the final category is for outstanding impact and enduring legacy in Canadian entrepreneurship and innovation. The first category is the Enterprise Support Award in recognition of organizations that have excelled in their work to advance the culture and environment for entrepreneurship in Canada. On behalf of the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation, I am thrilled to present the Prairies region winner of the Enterprise Support Award to CoLabs. Saskatchewan Collaborates Inc., also known as CoLabs, is Saskatchewan's first tech incubator. Its mission is to support local tech entrepreneurs by providing them with the essential tools necessary to accelerate their ventures and by connecting them with world-class entrepreneurs for mentorship. Since its inception in 2017, CoLabs has incubated over 85 startups. It's delivered over 2,200 hours of mentorship and created over 160 jobs. By partnering with organizations such as Western Economic Diversification, the University of Saskatchewan, and several major tech hubs across Western Canada, CoLabs is making a big impact on their community of innovators. Please join me in welcoming Alex Shimla, co-founder and program director of CoLabs. Welcome, Alex. Thank you for joining us tonight as the first recipient of the 2020 Prairies CANIEAwards. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Well, it's exciting, and you're doing such incredible work. And, the impact that CoLabs is making in Saskatchewan's innovation landscape is pretty distinct. In fact, CoLabs has grown in leaps and bounds since its inception. Can you tell us more about the evolution of CoLabs as one of the fastest growing tech hubs in Canadian history?
Yeah, it's just been over 3 years for us here, which is pretty incredible when I think about in reverse, kind of how much it's changed. But, I think part of this all is that CoLabs is created in the image of a startup. And we've always joked with our startups that we want to compete with you guys to be the fastest growing startup in our program. And so we ran like one. We quickly tested and failed our assumptions, of which there were a lot of failures off the start. And we're like constantly rebuilding how we built out content for the companies in our cohort. I guess the next part of that is that, it's obviously important to have a clear language around our mission. So we got together with our board and kind of defined out that, what we want to do is take a company from $0 in revenue to $1 million in revenue in 3 years or less. And so that kind of shaped out how we built the program. And so it's been incredible to see, because in just under 3 years, the companies have raised not only about just over $8 million of investment, most coming from Saskatchewan angels, but they've actually generated over $13 million in revenue, which is kind of a funny ratio to have, but we're really proud of it. And I think it's representative kind of how we've tried to build the programs out.
Yeah, and there's a real community feel to it as well. And it'd be great to know a bit more about how CoLabs has contributed to the growth of the Saskatchewan innovation economy itself. And you have a conference, I think it's a collaborative conference, Uniting the Prairies. Can you tell us a bit about that too?
Yeah, so this is a fun one, because the key distinction with Uniting the Prairies is what Jordan and I saw is when we traveled around to other conferences or other ecosystems, that often, the Prairie region as a whole was kind of, looked over in a lot of cases. And so we wanted to do something about that. So as it implies, kind of with Uniting the Prairies, it was for the Prairies, Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, kind of looping in each of the startup ecosystems from, the wonderful provinces and kind of centralizing them and bringing them to all one place. So part of this is bringing all the incredible startups that exist in these regions to one place. And then the next part is to actually bring people here who were born here, are from here, worked here, went to school here, and have went on and built some incredible companies. The next part is obviously to bring in investors from across North America to kind of show off our talent ecosystem and showcase, what great opportunities do exist here. So year one, we built off kind of the side of our desk. We had about 700 attendees with 35 investors and speakers. And year two obviously had to change. It was supposed to be in May of 2020 here, but there's going to be some fun developments coming out over that in the next few weeks. So if it's interesting, if you're interested in kind of either being part of that Prairie Tech movement or maybe just paying attention and coming to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan virtually, stay tuned.
Who would not want to come to Saskatoon, even if it has to be virtually?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great. Okay, so people are going to stay tuned for that then. That's good news. You've also had incredible success achieving sustainability as a tech incubator. But these are really tricky times, and I have to imagine that just like companies and startups across the country are feeling the pinch right now, and around the world, that CoLabs is probably navigating through a time of some fairly decent uncertainty. Can you talk to us about that, but also about a situation where maybe you've had to really work hard to persevere when things weren't looking great?
I remember being just opened and joining Jordan Duchak, the co-founder and executive director of CoLabs here, and sitting in a desk upstairs with him with no startups physically in the space, and questioning whether or not we were capable of even doing this in the first place. We had a hunch, and we were committed to working as hard and as fast and as vigilantly as anyone could to make it happen. But there was incredible moments of self-doubt. And I think that it's so important as you're going through anything where you're taking that big risk and that big leap of faith, that you surround yourself with people that love and trust you, and that you can get out of your own head sometimes and kind of get refocused without just sitting in a corner of a room trying to figure out if you're going to have an existential crisis or not. I think it's super important to have those people around you.
Alex, I really appreciate you sharing those thoughts and perspectives, and a little bit of humor there, because you're right that we all need to also surround ourselves with people who can kind of bring us back down and ground us. But you've had such great success. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for all that CoLabs is doing to build an outstanding tech community in the Prairies, in good times and in bad times too. And congratulations on your award.
Thank you. Yeah, we right here. Oh, there it is. Nice.
Okay, great. Congrats. The first two awards in exemplifying the spirit of Canadian innovation are presented by UPS, aka United Problem Solvers, and are awarded to Canadian companies exhibiting excellence in their global presence, innovation, and growth. UPS is a long-time supporter of the startup community, quite literally helping startups go global. And I hope you'll please join me in welcoming Paul Gaspar, Director of Small Business at UPS Canada.
Bring us your baffling.
Bring us your audacious.
We want your sticky notes, sketchbooks, and scribbles. Let's pin them to the wall, kick them around.
Kick them around, see what happens.
Because we're in the how do I get this startup off the ground business.
The taking your business, global business.
We're in the problem-solving business. 400,000 people.
Ready to help you solve problems while they're still called opportunities.
From figuring it out to getting it done.
We're here to help.
Thank you, Catherine. It's a pleasure to join you all tonight. UPS is proud to be a co-presenting sponsor of the first annual Canadian Innovation and Entrepreneurship Awards, also known as the CANIEAwards, by the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation. Through our strong partnership over the course of many years with Startup Canada, and now with the CANIEAwards, which brings together the Manny Innovation Awards and the Startup Canada Awards, we have directly supported thousands of entrepreneurs through a variety of programs aimed at supporting global growth and innovation. At UPS, we know the barriers entrepreneurs face when starting and scaling up. So with innovative services, competitive rates, and more access to customers in Canada and abroad, and taking every action to ensure the safety of our customers and employees, UPS is determined to making running a business easier and more rewarding. On behalf of UPS, I am thrilled to present the winner for the 2020 Global Entrepreneurship Award for the Prairies region to Noble. Noble Technologies believes in reimagining and reinventing the human experience through seamless, engaging technology such as the iMirror. The iMirror re-engineers and enhances the in-store shopping experience by leveraging AI to provide the best of both physical and online shopping, creating an immersive and unique experience. The interactive mirrors clients list include Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Kohl's, and Puma brick and mortars all over the world. Congratulations again to Noble, and back to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Paul, and welcome, Peter. It's great to have you here tonight. Congratulations on receiving the Global Entrepreneurship Award.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, way to go. Well, as Paul mentioned, Noble is really reinventing the experience of online and physical shopping, and that's really innovative and ambitious, especially right now. What inspired you to create the eye mirror that Paul was mentioning?
Yeah, originally back in, I think about 2011, Corning made a conceptual video about what the future would look like. So all CGI and cool graphics. And in about the third scene, there's a woman in her bathroom and she's brushing her teeth and she is interacting with her mirror. And that was kind of the moment where, I believed that we would see interactive mirrors in every home and different environments around the world. And so we got to work and started building it and had some fun. And then we had some amazing international retail clients ask us to do some really innovative things in store. And we took that challenge and had some fun along the way and ended up getting a pretty decent list of people on our roster. So
Yeah, it's so remarkable, and what a neat technology in terms of just how pervasive it can be, throughout our public and our private spaces too. And you've really succeeded in going global. We heard some of the names of the clients you're working with. What key components have led to your expansion beyond Canada, and how has Noble's team played a role in this journey?
ultimately, I think it comes down to relationships. When you're dealing with international clients, there has to be a level of comfort, a level of trust, and it still comes down to a human-human relationship that's built, whether it's 2 feet away or across the globe. And so I attribute our team to that tremendously. Their ability to build relationships. They're hardworking, they're smart, but most importantly, they're just wonderful human beings. And that's the culture that I always hope to have here, but really they're the ones that drove it to be a reality. And so when you're dealing with people either on a video call or in person or flying halfway around the world and having jet lag and then having meetings with these people, it's really the relationship that you can build to gain that trust and to be honest and open and say, we're going to do our absolute best. We're a little startup out of Calgary, but we're going to really do what we can to work with you on this. And we've been really lucky in that.
The launch of the iMirror at Puma's flagship store in New York, that had to have been a highlight of Noble's recent history. It was really amazing. Can you tell us what that launch means to you? Tell us a bit about it too.
Yeah, the flagship store in New York City on Fifth Ave, right across from Saks on Fifth Ave. It is the most incredible store I've ever seen in my entire life. Just to be a part of that alone would have been amazing, but Puma has such a rich history, an exciting, current and future ahead of them. And again, it comes down to the people. The people there were just so incredible to work with. Being on site and watching probably the most expensive store I've ever been in my entire life come together in a short period of time and working with their staff and the contractors and people on site to build what has really been identified as, the most experiential shopping experience potentially in the world as far as flagships go. Was really exciting, daunting, energetic. It's just a lot of fun. The store is absolutely incredible though.
Okay, so clearly once we can all travel again freely, we all have to go to see the Puma store in New York City.
There's a room that you can go in and you can kick a soccer ball at a wall and do drills by famous footballers, and there's F1 racing in the corner. There's AR all over the place. There's these incredible interactive mirrors through the store. No, it's really cool.
So all of that sounds completely amazing, and I can't wait to do it. But I also wonder about, given the impact of the pandemic and the huge impacts that it's had on the retail industry, on all industries, but can you talk to us about the challenges that Noble has faced? Because what you were just describing, involves going somewhere and being a part of something in a store. How are you looking forward also to a post-COVID landscape?
Yeah, there's still an incredibly strong desire for experiences and experiential retail and experiences outside of retail too. And that is all driven through technology. So delivering those experiences and enhancing them is really our goal. As he put off the top, our vision is to reinvent and reimagine the human experience. That experience is physical, digital, the connection of e-commerce. And so retailers are looking at ways of doing that. We're adding on functionality that adds touchless interactions to the mirror, things that are, addressing the concerns around a bunch of people touching an object or potentially transmitting the virus and things of that nature. And so it's actually been relatively exciting. There's one development that I can't really go into where the mirror has become more prominent with the largest client we have, essentially, in the sense that it's now the replacement for an experience that used to exist pre-COVID, and they needed technology to facilitate that. So we got a little nervous that, we might not be what they were looking for, and it's actually the opposite. We were the solution to a problem they had because of this, and so it's incredibly exciting for us.
That is so exciting, Peter, and the technology is remarkable, and what you're doing with it and how you're building it is just exceptional. Thank you for sharing Noble's journey about how it's gone global, and I'm really delighted for you. Congratulations on your award. We're thrilled.
Thank you so much. I have it right. It's beautiful.
It's looking great. It's fantastic. Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now back to you, Paul, for the exciting announcement of the Product Innovation Award winner.
Thank you, Catherine. The Product Innovation Award is close to our hearts. At UPS, our vision for Canada's and the globe's future is one where innovation continues to build products that revolutionize industries beyond borders. Please join me in welcoming the 2020 Product Innovation Award winner for the Prairies, Growing Greener Innovation. Growing Greener is dedicated to giving their customers solutions for portable power and contributing to a cleaner environment. Through her company, Connie Stacy provides greener and affordable alternatives to gas-powered generators and biomass burning with the company's product, the Grengen. This game-changing device, with distributors and partners in more than 12 countries, is allowing access to power in any environment by using any type of energy available. Congratulations again to Growing Greener Innovations, and back to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Paul, and welcome, Connie. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight. Congratulations on this award.
Well, thank you very much. We're really excited.
Well, we're excited for you, and we're eager to know a bit more about the Growing Greener Innovation story, because as with all great innovations, there's usually a personal and often a professional story behind it all. It would be great to know about what inspired you to create a solution that provides access to clean energy like this.
Well, it really started back when I'm fortunate to have three wonderful children, and when my twin boys were about 3 months old, I was walking them, and they were asleep in the stroller, and I passed by a house being built, and they were running a diesel generator, and I thought, oh, if you wake these babies, I'm going postal. And I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way, right? There's got to be an opportunity for something that's cleaner, that's quieter, that's more environmentally friendly and cheaper. And so that really kind of got the ball rolling for me, was that moment.
That is an amazing moment shared by mothers and probably parents across the world so many times.
You know what?
Maybe not the diesel generator, but any sound. But see, that one little thing in it created this whole new approach. And it's amazing how you've not only built a team of individuals that are passionate about making the world a better place, but you've also created such a strong community of supporters who share your vision. I think you call them the Greeners.
Actually, it's the Grengineers. The Grengineers.
Okay.
So one of our supporters.
To go with the Grengen.
To go with the Grengen,
okay.
Right. Yeah, so one of our supporters, or actually one of our part-time folks who does some grant writing for us, his brother coined the term. He said, oh, you're doing some work for the Grengineers. I thought, well, that is a great term. We loved it. And we thought, Grengineers, engineering a better future. And that it has been amazing how many people have really got behind us as a social enterprise with that idea of, yes, you can make a profit, but you can also do things that are good for people and the planet at the same time.
Now, you are a great example through that. I mean, that's a perfect example of how you're a company that's working hard to make the world a better place, but you're also managing, I think, to remain fairly sustainable in these trying times. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you're surviving this crisis and how you might have evolved even?
Yeah, actually, we've taken a couple of things that we've done a little bit differently. At first we got hit hard. We had a really important project that was temporarily put on hold. We have been assured that they fully intend to continue once things settle down, but the large facility in question that we were going to be doing a pilot project with, is being used for COVID-related response right now. So that one was hard, and I was a bit worried. It was when the zeros on a project are many, you start to worry quite a bit. But one of the things that's been really fortunate is that with COVID, of course, a lot of people are talking about how do we be more resilient? How can we look to the future and be more sustainable, both in how we work and how we deal with the environment. So there's been actually a general increase in interest, and one of the things that we did to make it more easier for our customers at a time when cash flow is really tough is we actually modified one of our business models. So on our larger industrial systems, where we would provide peak shaving for large industrial plants, we actually have offered a financing system that allows them to be cash flow positive right from the get-go. And that really takes out that pain point, because right now cash flow is probably the biggest single problem that most businesses are struggling with related to COVID.
So that's a really interesting adaptation, an important adaptation that you've kind of brought forward as part of the evolution to a pandemic no one was really planning on in 2020. Can you paint us a picture of just how innovation is helping your company to build a unique value proposition for itself and also moving forward?
You know what? I think that it's something that's kind of it's ingrained in our people here. Everything we do starts with innovation. And I think it really comes from the fact that we center our innovation on a person's problem. So we never talk about, I want to build product X. I want to build a better TV. We say, what is the problem the consumer has? What is the problem the person has? And we analyze that until we feel like we fully understand it. Then we look at how we solve it with technology. So it's a little bit of a different approach often. And I think that this is something with large companies that they really struggle with is say you're a utility company, you start going, well, this is what we do. So how do we make what we do better? But as a startup, we really get to be in the position of going, what is the problem that the consumer really needs solved? And how can we solve it in a way that's sustainable?
Yeah, I think that bringing it back to the basics of what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it is excellent advice. We're really delighted for you, Connie. Thank you for sharing the Growing Greener story of innovation and of resilience with us tonight, and congratulations on your award.
Woohoo!
Looking good.
You can see that okay.
Yeah, we can see it. It's great.
It's going to go right beside the Millennium Falcon behind me here. So.
Which every house should have too.
Every house.
Every house. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Connie. In the spirit of the next category, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Tanya Furr, Alberta's Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Tourism, for some brief remarks. Welcome, Minister Furr. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you as well to Startup Canada and the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation for inviting me to speak today. It's a pleasure to provide remarks on behalf of the Government of Alberta. This year's tour aims to inspire entrepreneurs like you by showcasing the award winners and their stories in this challenging time, to show their resilience and their innovation. This year, we are all facing a challenge. Who could imagine a year ago what our global environment would be in 2020? Yet, in the face of such challenges and adversity, there are always those who show their determination, their ability, and their dedication to an idea, concept, or dream. In Alberta, we know that our small businesses and startups are the true backbone of our economy, They contribute to our communities, hire local talent, and create innovative new products that showcase our province's entrepreneurial spirit. Alberta and Canada needs more of the ambitious, scalable, sustainable mindset that creates economic growth and social development. Today, each of you can take your place among that unique part of society that builds our province and Canada as a whole. Even in a digital format, you can build a network, you can inspire each other, and you can promote each other's work. This is what today is all about, and you've all shown that you are more than the sum of your parts. Together, you form an interconnected web of ideas and fresh perspective. This pandemic has had a huge impact on all of us. It has changed our world forever. It has kept us apart from our loved ones. But we will recover. We will grow. We will be stronger than ever. Each of you will be a part of that. You will be critical to our future. Your ideas, your dreams, and your businesses will be the forefront of our future. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak today. Congratulations to all the winners, and the greatest of success to all of you. Back to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Minister, for sharing this heartfelt message with Alberta's community of entrepreneurs. Increasingly, entrepreneurs are blending profit, purpose, and innovation. The CANI Social Innovation Award, presented by Sovereign Insurance, recognizes companies that exhibit excellence in their approach to the environment, to ethics, to community interaction, and to corporate social responsibility. Please join me in welcoming Joanne Yanuziello, Vice President of Marketing, Human Resources, and Corporate Administration at Sovereign Insurance, to present the next award.
Thank you, Catherine. It's a pleasure to join you all tonight. I'm delighted to represent Sovereign Insurance, the proud co-presenting sponsor of the 2020 CANIEAwards. At Sovereign Insurance, our belief is that we can make a positive impact in society by supporting entrepreneurs' efforts and sharing their experiences. The 2020 Social Innovation Award is presented to Canada's social entrepreneurs who are building a more sustainable future through innovation in their products, services, and evolved business models. These organizations have shown resilience and demonstrated results in scaling and bringing everyone together to build a better country and a better world. The winner of the Social Innovation Award for the Prairies region is Enable Community. Enable works to overcome the barriers to community access that people with disabilities and their families experience by carefully matching them and support workers. These matches are based on shared interests, and their time together focuses on preparing people with disabilities to reach their full potential and live as independently as possible. This Calgary-based company is already a game changer in its community, where they have completed nearly 20,000 hours of service with over 100 support workers in their database. Back to you, Catherine, and congratulations again to Enable Community for this recognition.
Thank you so much, Joanne, and welcome, Sue. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight, and we're just delighted for you for your award.
Yes, thanks for having me.
It's a thrill. So can you tell us a little bit about Enable and how your background inspired you to create it?
Yeah, so my background is that I'm a registered nurse. So I've been working in the area of social justice, working with families who have children with disabilities and who struggle with mental health. And so it was an area that I've been passionate about for a long time. I've been working with young people with disabilities for 10 years and just noticed a lot of gaps in the support that we offer families who in the community instead of in a hospital setting. And so I really wanted to change the way that we offer that in a way that supports families where they're at, where and when they need the support. And so we created Enable to be able to provide families the opportunity to have the support in the community, in their homes, in their communities, so that they can grow where they are.
Yeah, and what an important time in general for that type of support, too. And along with shepherding enables growth, you are also creating a community of support workers who are themselves committed to the organization's purpose. Can you talk to us about what you're doing on that front and how that deliberate process of community building is working?
Yeah. So I guess one of the pieces with Enable is always kind of went out thinking Enable was there to support families who have a child or a family member with a disability. But I kind of overlooked, I'm not really sure why, but overlooked the side of the support worker, which I guess is kind of interesting because I myself am a support worker, and that's what inspired me to do this work. So once I started doing these matches and getting these support workers out in the community, they started coming back with these really, really interesting texturized testimonials from being out in the community, which of course I had my own as well. And so just hearing their stories and how much they've been able to grow from the experience of working in the community with families is so, so great to hear. And I think a lot of the young people that do this work, it's mostly post-secondary students that are interested in being a support worker, just based on the hours, it's evenings, weekends. And so they have the availability to do that. But I find like support workers, they're looking for practical ways to build up their resume and build up their experiences. And often they're people that are really interested in community work or interested in healthcare. And so what I'm really excited about is that the support workers that work with us are the next generation of healthcare workers. And I think they're just going to have that extra sense of empathy where they just really, really understand what it's like living with disability in the community and the quality of life that truly does come for the person with a disability as well as their family. And so I'm really excited that they have that insight and they'll be able to bring that to their future workplaces.
I think I couldn't agree with you more, and it just sounds so wonderful. And I also think one of the ongoing conversations in healthcare that's continuing to build now is that family involvement in healthcare, and also the fact that we're seeing through this pandemic that healthcare is being provided in locations other than a doctor's office and in different ways, or in a hospital. Just really inspiring words. So you're an organization that supports individuals who do require permanent medical assistance. It would be really important to hear about how the pandemic has affected your operations, because I have to imagine it has had an impact.
Yeah. So we work on kind of two sides. I guess there's the medical healthcare side, which we don't focus on too much just because we don't hire, like we're not specifically looking to hire nurses and LPNs for those roles. Where we really, really concentrate on is more around the social needs that people have. And so it's an area of health that we often overlook. And I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing this right now with COVID, in that we can understand that not having our social needs met is a huge barrier for a lot of us and does affect our mental health. And so for people with disabilities, they often have this experience on a day-to-day basis. This is unchanging for them. And a lot of them actually don't have a lot of community connections aside from disability-based organizations. So it's really great that we can have support workers be able to go out and meet them, provide that companionship and that friendship that they really, really do need. Obviously, there is kind of, I guess, a support aspect in a healthcare sense when we look at how maybe people with disabilities might need help with transfers, maybe need help in and out of the bathroom, for example, in and out of bed, getting ready for bed, getting up in the morning. So there is that healthcare aspect for sure. So for our organization, with how we've changed over COVID, we have had to modify our programs to unfortunately scale down the way that we were offering more social-based supports, just for out of, I guess, for the perspective of safety for the families of the people with disabilities, the people with disabilities themselves, and then obviously the support workers and their families. Those families that do require, say, medical needs like help in and out of bed, for example, medication administration, help with eating, things like that, those workers are still out working. The ones that we've had to scale back are the ones that spend most of their time in the community doing leisure recreational programming. But with things opening up, it's looking more promising that more people can get out in the community really soon. So hopefully that's the case and we can not neglect the social needs of our community too much longer.
Well, and you also have raised a number of very interesting points where innovation is not just possible, but key to helping people build and maintain a better life. So that's a call out to other entrepreneurs who may be listening tonight too. But, could you give us some final thoughts about what this has taught you about taking care of the most vulnerable in our society, especially in challenging times?
Yeah, so of course, obviously, our disability community is a vulnerable population. When we're working with them, we just have so much that we can learn from them, I guess, from a healthcare perspective, as well as just from a community-minded perspective. I hope that through COVID, people have kind of gotten maybe a greater sense to the vulnerabilities that people experience, and maybe even expose some of our own vulnerabilities that maybe we can find ways to relate to one another in different levels. I know for a lot of the clients that we've had, even though obviously I've kind of scaled down programming quite a bit over COVID, a lot of the families were right behind that decision, and they would have made that decision whether I did or not. So they're quite aware of the vulnerabilities that come up. But it's hit us hard as an organization, just hearing the stories about how difficult it can be to stay away from those people that make us feel like that are our champions. And it's really hard to not be around those champions at this time. But I mean, obviously there's ways to do it online, like even right now with our CANIEAwards, to find ways to connect and celebrate. And so hopefully we can get back to it and be able to keep on working on the strengths, because I know being stuck inside is definitely not really a good way for young people with disabilities to be able to learn and have new experiences. So hopefully we can continue with our mission very soon to be able to get out to work upon those people's strengths and to be able to get them increasing dependence, working to their full potential, and enjoying all that the community has to offer and the accessibility that Calgary has. So.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah. It's been just inspiring to listen to you, and I'm really grateful to you for the work that you're doing in your community. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, here's my award.
It's looking great. Good job. Well done. I hope it has a prominent place in your home.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Well, Sue and all of the other award recipients are really showing us the incredible work that's just being done across the country by entrepreneurs and innovators. And I really hope that you're going to help us to spread the love tonight by making sure you're on social media, making sure that you're using our hashtag CANIEAwards. We want all of our winners to know how much we admire them and admire their achievements. So don't forget, hashtag CANIEAwards, let's get trending. Now, the next few awards celebrate youth, Indigenous, and women entrepreneurs who embody the spirit of Canadian entrepreneurship. The Woman Entrepreneur Award is presented to a woman entrepreneur who has impacted Canadian entrepreneurship through exemplary activities and leadership of their companies. As a woman entrepreneur myself, I am truly excited to welcome the Canny Woman Entrepreneur for the Prairies region, Lauren Vaughn. Lauren's passion for the fashion industry led her to launch The Upside, an online luxury and accessories reseller that expands the retail market, allowing women to buy brands they love at affordable prices. Founded in 2015, The Upside has positioned itself as the largest online luxury resale retailer in Canada with more than 10,000 users. With an inventory of over 200 luxury brands, The Upside is creating a movement of conscious luxury consumers by redefining the retail life cycle. Please join me in welcoming Lauren Vaughn, CEO and founder of The Upside. Hello, Lauren. We're delighted. Congratulations.
Hello. Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's really exciting, and what a neat company. And, since your inception in 2015, The Upside has skyrocketed. We'd love to hear about the Upside journey from its beginnings, which I think took place in the basement of your home, to the thriving organization it's become today.
Well, a few basements, actually.
Okay. It's always better to have multiple basements.
Yeah, and I believe the saying is it's been a 5-year overnight success. So, and it feels just like that. I did start The Upside in the basement of my home in Calgary, Alberta, and I actually had been living abroad, and I just saw this resale market and what that looked like for consumers. And when I had moved back to Canada, it just wasn't the same. We had traditional consignment stores that were bricks and mortar, but I really wanted to elevate the customer journey and be able to bring it online. So it was in 2015. We didn't launch until almost the end of that year, but I started building what is the Upside today. So if you were my friend or family, I believe me, I was pestering you for all of your nice things that you'd allow me to sell.
So why did you decide to create the business? What was that initial spark that made you think there's a market for this and I'm going to be the one to do it?
Yeah, when I started, and it's evolved over time, right? I think as you're an entrepreneur as well, as we go through our business and the life cycle, we see the reasons of why, what our why is really evolve. And at that time, to be honest, I was in my mid-20s or, mid to late 20s. And for me, it was just that inaccessibility of loving great style and feeling really good in what I'm wearing. And understanding that fast fashion, even then, there's been such a light shone now on what that looks like and the downsides of that. And just that it can't continue. The fashion and textile industry, we know, is the second largest global polluter. And for retail moving forward, and we've really seen that in COVID, right, of things that were broken before are really exemplified now. So why I started then was because I love great things, and it was at a price point that was inaccessible to me at where I was in my life. And how it's really evolved to me now is just understanding that the circular economy is the only way forward, and that we have to give these gently used or even new sometimes pieces a second life.
Can you tell us about the charitable initiative that you launched too?
Some initiatives we started during COVID was we actually gave away a working from home outfit for 8 weeks to a deserving woman to lift their spirits. So that was really touching for us to just lean into our community and see that we are really in this together, and how we can support each other.
Yeah, and as a community builder and a leading woman entrepreneur yourself, I have to imagine that COVID really has affected your business. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and how you've adapted?
Yeah, I'd love to. So obviously there is a retail component to what we do that was non-existent for that time. I felt very grateful that we had already pre-built this technology that we could lean into. We really found that in our community of women that there was just such a solidarity, and that was really great to see. Sometimes when we're in the hamster wheel, you can feel very alone or very alienated. And it was just during COVID, I've never seen this outpouring from fellow women entrepreneurs like I did then, to just all get through this together. And the Upside, we have pivoted in a way that we just wanted to step back and look holistically at the business. We are an e-commerce business, so we knew we would make it through, and we've actually thrived. We had bigger sales this May than we did last May. So it's been great that way, but it was bigger than that. It was stepping back and saying, what do we want this business to look like, and who do we want to support, and how do we want to do that?
You've really done some remarkable work, Lauren. It's just such a pleasure to have the chance to talk to you, and also to listen to your words of advice for other female entrepreneurs in general. But it's a great pleasure, and I wish you only the best. I'm going to go home now and figure out how to become one of your 10,000 and more followers, because it's a great
Wonderful.
initiative.
Well, we look forward to having you in the community.
That's terrific. Congratulations on the recognition. Thanks for sharing your story of resilience with us, Lauren. Love the award. It's looking good.
Great. Thank you so much.
Take good care.
Take care.
Our next award recognizes Indigenous entrepreneurs who have impacted entrepreneurship through exemplary activities and leadership of their companies. To present the winner of this category, I would like to invite Shauna Miller, Vice President of Marketing and Communications at MasterCard Canada.
Of all the numbers that matter in business, here's the one that matters most: 7.7 billion. Because that's how many people there are on this planet. So every day, we work with banks, merchants, businesses, cities, and governments to solve human needs with human ideas. Every capability we build on, every investment we make, and every partnership we enter into is driven by MasterCard's mission to improve people's lives.
Thank you, Catherine, and it's a pleasure to join you all tonight. MasterCard is proud to be a national sponsor for the CANIEAwards Regional Tour, launched by the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation and powered by Startup Canada. We share both organizations' vision for a thriving, entrepreneurial, and innovative nation, and we know that supporting the dreams and ambitions of fellow Canadians will build a more prosperous future. As a technology company, we provide the network that connects anyone in the world with a business idea to a potential global customer base. Our technology helps a company go from local to global in a fraction of the time that it used to take, empowering entrepreneurs everywhere. This award is presented to an Indigenous entrepreneur who is making waves and impact in their industry. The winner of the Indigenous Entrepreneur Award for the Prairies region is Kendall Netmaker. Kendall Netmaker from Sweetgrass First Nation, Saskatchewan, is one of Canada's leading speakers, delivering executive leadership coaching and business consulting through the Netmaker Academy. To date, this serial entrepreneur has founded and invested in 5 businesses. He is also the best-selling author of Driven to Succeed and has won over 25 business awards, including runner-up at the YBI Global Entrepreneur of the Year Award and one of Canada's top 40 under 40. Kendall is on a mission to empower entrepreneurs and leaders around the globe by demonstrating that regardless of where you come from and what you've gone through in your life, you have the power to enact change. Become who you were born to be. Back to you, Catherine, and congratulations again, Kendall, on this award.
Thank you so much, and welcome, Kendall. It's great to have you here sharing your story with us tonight, and we are just so thrilled about your award. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's an honor. Thank you.
Well, through all of your ventures and keynotes, you deliver a powerful message about giving back to the community. I'd be really interested to know what your inspiration was to become such a fierce community builder.
There's a lot of inspiration. There's even before my time, my mother's time was a big part of that. All the struggles that she had to go through. My kuka, what we call our grandma in our language, things that she had to go through. And so that kind of lit a spark underneath me to whatever it is that I decide to do with my life. I made a decision when I was a young kid. Whatever decision I decide to do with my life, it has to be with big impact. So the businesses that I've been able to work towards and work on every day, even the clients I get to work with, I'm giving it everything I have. So when you give it everything you have, you're have a higher chance of something great being a result of that. So that's how I've been living my life since I made that decision. And it all starts with one decision.
I think that that's a really important message for people to hear too, the fact that one decision can be the impetus for big change. And you have inspired thousands of entrepreneurs to thrive and to succeed and just to try, even in adverse and sometimes critical circumstances, because it is not the same level playing field for everyone. Not everyone's starting from the same place. So we'd love to hear more about your speaking engagements and the Netmaker Academy and how you're really inspiring people.
Absolutely. So I got into speaking by being an entrepreneur first, we'll say. So when I started Nietzschegear is a lifestyle apparel brand that empowers you through sports, and it scaled through a story. And the story was our mission behind why we did what we did and why we continue to do what we do. And back in grade 5, when I was a kid living in Sweetgrass First Nation, I was single parented by my mom, eldest of 3 younger sisters, and we lived on welfare our entire upbringing. And so we had no vehicle. We didn't have all that type of stuff that a lot of my friends would have. I would see it at different places that I would go to visit. We were living like that, and I didn't realize we were living like that. When you're a kid, you're just trying to have fun. So in grade 5, I was 10 years old. My best friend, who originally from South Africa, him and his family paid for my soccer fees. And they offered a helping hand in a time when I needed it. And so what happened was they paid for my fees. They drove me to games and practices. I was able to play with sports, and we became best friends. I was at his house every single weekend. 2 years later, grade 7 comes around, and they're moving to Saskatoon because his dad is an anesthesiologist. He's elevating in his field. Before they leave, they give myself, my family, a 1986 Ford Crown Victoria, burgundy red, a vehicle they weren't taking to Saskatoon. So now my whole entire family is impacted. My mom's driving us to games and practices. The sports empowers my whole upbringing, allows me to go into college to play some college volleyball, come back to university, finish 2 degrees. And when I was in university, I started this company called Nichiger with a mission to help kids that were growing up in same circumstances like me in that same grade 5 level. So we take a portion of our profits every year helping kids that are growing up in those same situations. So that when I started telling that story and I started getting on stages, I started to go to different, entrepreneur events. I started keynoting at different conferences. I started tying different messaging behind that: leadership, business development, brand development. How do you tell your story? How do you make impact and change the world through one story? So that all led into an entirely different business model that I'm now in now. And I find like this is what I want to do here with the rest of my career that I meant to do it on this time on earth. So it's been a lot of fun. I've been, the last 4.5 years roughly was when I made that decision to go all into that business. So, running different brands, different businesses at the same time, but speaking is the forefront right now.
Well, and you've just demonstrated how the power of telling one story can have such a huge impact on an audience, because it's hard not to listen to the story that you just told and think about how, like you talked about at the beginning of our conversation, one small decision can have a huge and lasting impact on someone else's life too.
Right.
I'd love to hear about your family and what it felt like for you personally when you were recognized as one of Canada's top 40 under 40. That's a big honor, but you built it yourself. Can you talk to us about what that meant?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the, I guess, I think what really was the most meaningful thing with all this, even this year today, is that I have the honor and privilege of being part of a paving a way for people like myself, people who come from First Nations communities who, back when I was young, I could never see me doing stuff like this. So I had to do a whole shift in my mindset in my 20s, and that allowed me to create things and not having to rely on the world to come and hopefully save me. Sometimes some of us create those dialogues like we're hoping someone will come and save us. But at the end of the day, if you don't take that first step and try, you're not going to attract those kind of people in your life to help you to get that big order, to take your business to another level. So when I started to get my feet wet with business, and I had no idea what I was doing. And most entrepreneurs probably on this awards program are in the same boat. They don't have business degrees, some of them. They don't have marketing backgrounds. So you have to learn as you go. You learn from mentors. You learn from YouTube. You learn from Google, all that type of stuff. So I was in the same boat. Like I'm a teacher. And so that was the first mindset I had to fix was you can be a teacher and start a business if you really want to. You don't need a business degree. That was like my program mindset back in the day. So when I was able to overcome that and I was able, I can do this. And I started to try things. I tried to sell once I brought that story in, oh my goodness, like everything started to escalate much quicker than I anticipated. Several months before bringing that story in, we were myself, my wife, Rachel, and my son, Keanu. It was just 3 of us at that time. We found ourselves lining up downtown Saskatoon applying for social assistance. Something happened. During that process, I had this trigger moment. And I said, Rachel, let's go home. Let's go to our apartment. And when we went to our apartment, I basically said, Rachel, I grew up like that. I don't want to raise my family like that. And if you support me through this business here in Nichiger, I will do everything I can to try and make this business successful. I don't know how I'm going to pay for Pampers, for formula, for rent, but I'm going to try to figure this out. And she supported me. And you know the rest of the story. But it takes one decision to make that happen. If your decision is, if you're half foot in to your business and half foot on something else, you can only get half results. If you want a business to thrive, especially during this time, you have to be 100% into your mindset has to be focused on that goal that you want. That is the only way you can guarantee some sort of success through that. Otherwise, you just have to blame yourself if you don't do that. So,
Can I have you just build on that briefly,
Sure.
just as a last question, in terms of you telling your wife Rachel that you didn't want to raise your family
Yeah.
that way?
Yeah.
Can you give me a sense of what you would say to other Indigenous entrepreneurs as well, who may have not had the same experience you
Yeah.
had, but maybe a similar one? What would you say to them?
I would say that, you know, one of the things I talk about in my talks is that regardless of where you come from, what you have gone through, you can change it. But you have to be the person to make that decision. There's people like myself and several other entrepreneurs across this country who are finding ways to break stereotypes, to break mindsets, and so on, to create businesses. You don't have to be in the most ideal location to start a business. Most places across this country have some kind of internet connection nowadays. During this time, we have just proven as a country that we can start online businesses and we can make things happen online. And now that we've proven that, and we've fast tracked our whole online journey in the last 2 months like crazy, I really believe that there's going to be a ton of entrepreneurs, especially Indigenous entrepreneurs across this country. And I know what's happening because they've been reaching out to me. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at candlenetmaker.com. I'd be happy to help you and give you some advice through that. But I really, regardless of where you come from, what you've gone through, you can change it. You can start the business that you were born to build, but it takes one decision. You have to make a commitment and give it everything that you have. Okay. And once you do that kind of stuff, things start to slowly work for yourself after a while. Sometimes you'll attract the right mentor. Sometimes you'll attract the right business. But if you don't make that first step, you don't get there.
Kendall, thank you so much for those inspiring comments, but also for the work that you're doing to support other entrepreneurs and to give people a sense that they have the power to make one decision and change their own lives. Really appreciate it, and congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much. There it is. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
It's going to look great in your office, right behind you. Thanks, Kendall. The next two awards in tonight's ceremony are awarded to entrepreneurs who, through leadership of their companies and in the community, have impacted Canadian innovation and entrepreneurship, including the next generation of entrepreneurs. I'm absolutely thrilled to present the CANIEAwards Youth Impact Icon Award for the Prairies region to Nicholas Bank. Through his bootstrap fintech startup, Helsum, Nicholas is leading the way for Calgary's emerging tech sector. This innovative organization solves a pain point that thousands of business owners face: credit card payments, by making them simple and affordable. In the last 5 years, the company has grown from 2 employees to more than 50, providing payment infrastructure for more than 6,500 businesses across the U.S. and Canada, and processing more than $2.5 billion in payments. Please join me in welcoming Nicholas, the founder and CEO of Helsum. We're delighted for you. Welcome and congratulations on your Youth Impact Icon Award.
Thank you. And yeah, here it is somewhere. Gotta put it there.
That's perfect.
It's a heavy one.
It's perfect. It looks really good. Well, we're really thrilled that that you're in the chair, that you are the award winner, and we'd love to hear how Helsum solves a common pain point for entrepreneurs, and also what inspired you to build this organization.
Sure, and thank you again. So in terms of pain point, it really was, and I'm just gonna go here. So in terms of pain points, it really was, we started this business about 10 years ago, and we really, the first 5 years, it really just took a while for us to figure out our groove and exactly what the market was looking for and how we could solve it. But essentially, businesses seem to have 2 options. Either they could deal with the traditional banks, those kind of brick-looking credit card machines that you have on the countertop, or they could deal with a Silicon Valley payment processor. But the rates were quite high on this side, and there wasn't an option in the middle where can I get a really great payment experience, but for rates that were affordable to me, and next day deposits and things that's really matter to small businesses. And we said, okay, maybe there's a way for us to be in that middle and to solve that. And finally something clicked, and people started signing up, and it really seemed like there was a space for us in this market. And to answer your other question in terms of, I think how this started, I think it's really like most businesses. You see something is missing, and you think maybe, you kind of have the audacity to think maybe you'd be the one that could solve it. And then you have no idea what you're getting into. The industry most times is much more complex than you think it was going to be. But when you're young, that naivety is probably a good thing, because nobody, you haven't discouraged yourself yet from trying. And by the time you've solved all these problems, you actually have been able to build something.
So what were some of the challenges that you faced in the beginning?
I mean, the biggest thing was, I started a business when I was 23 years old. You're getting into finance, you're getting into banking, and trying to convince a banking partner to partner with you was essentially impossible. It took 2 years of us knocking on doors of banks, everywhere we could. And, as you can imagine, nobody wants to do, financial business with a 23-year-old. And finally, through the grapevines, we received a call from a bank in the U.S. actually, and they said, "Look, we're looking to grow in Canada. We're looking for people that are in the e-commerce space. Would you like to have this conversation with us?" And at the time, we were like, "Yes, finally!" It took that long. We're pretty, and they're still a partner today. So that was definitely the biggest challenge at the beginning.
So what do you think has been the key to your success in competing with companies such as Shopify and PayPal, which you're now doing, from being desperate to try and get someone to return a call or do business as a 23-year-old, here you are competing with the big guns?
Well, I think at the beginning, we really try to put honesty in the forefront. And it doesn't sound like it'd be a magic formula, but it was, where, we said, look, the industry has a lot of pitfalls. A lot of times people think they're signing one contract and they're signing something else, or they're locked in. And we said, let's be the good guys in a not so great industry. And that really resonated with people. So we had lots of information on our website. We still do today, how to avoid the pitfalls, how to avoid bad contracts and bad fees. And when we decided to open our services to Americans as well, we thought, there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be even more competition. It's going to be saturated. It's going to be tough to make a difference. But once again, that same message really resonated, where nobody was really kind of being as honest and as transparent as we were with our customers. And now today, the biggest thing that's really differentiated us is, if you mentioned Shopify or PayPal, those businesses are great for a certain segment. But if you think about, your local mechanic, your local contractor, your local dentist, they don't have PayPal at the front. They don't have Shopify. They need something else. And a lot of times they just have a traditional machine with a traditional bank, and it's working, but it's not really what they need. And especially, in these times with COVID and everything happening, I think that's really shown that they need a partner that's more flexible and that has online tools and that sees it. That kind of blurs the line between what an online sale is and what an in-person sale is.
Tell us what piece of advice you would give to young up-and-coming entrepreneurs about the importance of having a really innovative mindset.
I think that people, when they start a business, they think they need to have the greatest idea and the perfect business plan. And in the end, I think the thing that really makes a difference between whether you'll be able to have a success or not, it's not the quality of your ideas, because your idea will change and you're gonna have to pivot until something works. It's really perseverance. And I know that's a little bit of a cliche, but if you just hit your head against a wall over and over again, sooner or later something will break. And that's really what, if you look at a lot of success and people have been able to make a successful business, a lot of time the common trait is just a hard-headedness to just keep persevering when everybody else is saying quit. And I think that, with everything going on right now, I do think that, people can maybe get hesitant about starting a business right now because there's so much uncertainty and everything happening with the economy. But what I would say to that is, now, when big events like that happen in our world, with the economy, with with their society, it just creates change. And change is a good thing, because all of a sudden businesses and consumers and people are willing to kind of rethink the way they've been doing things. So now, if you look at some of the big successful companies out there, a lot of times they're started in a recession. So I would say to the young people out there that have been kind of on the fence about whether they should take the plunge, now's the time to do it.
I think that's a great way to end our conversation, Nicholas. And thank you for being an inspiration for entrepreneurs of future generations. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you so much.
And now it's time for the final award of the 2020 CANIEAwards Prairies region. The final award is the Entrepreneur of the Year Award and is presented by Scotiabank. It is awarded to an entrepreneur who has shown exceptional leadership and ongoing impact in Canadian entrepreneurship through their entrepreneurial endeavors. To present the winner, please join me in welcoming Matt Waldner, Regional Director for the Prairies of Small Business Development at Scotiabank.
I'm at the Scotiabank Arena. We are making up to 10,000 meals today for frontline workers and those in need.
In partnership with our friends at Scotiabank, today we're featuring local businesses with Operation Local.
Getting the word out to people has been huge. To have Hot Mess broadcast across the airwaves was a proud moment for us in an otherwise bleak month.
We are using our facilities to make reusable face shields. We're helping to ensure that our healthcare workers are more safe. And we went from making 10 face shields a day to over 300 per day.
Windmill Microlending is helping new Canadians get their domestic credentials. And with Scotiabank's support, we're able to get more qualified healthcare workers to the front lines.
Every community has its own challenges. So what's great about supporting the Landing Food Bank is that any donation received has an immediate impact.
At Scotiabank, we're committed to supporting our community for every future, even the most challenging ones. That's why we're helping our community partners navigate today, so they can all have a better and brighter tomorrow.
Thank you, Catherine, and it's a pleasure to join you all tonight. Scotiabank is proud of our partnership with the CANIEAwards, presented by the Innovators and Entrepreneurs Foundation and powered by Startup Canada. We share a vision in which entrepreneurs in this country have access to full support and resources for their ideas. We are delighted to be here tonight celebrating the entrepreneurial resilience across the country through the first CANIEAwards program. We hope you feel as inspired as we have by these outstanding entrepreneurs here tonight. The Entrepreneur of the Year Award is presented to an individual who has gone above and beyond in achieving for their company and made a long-lasting impact in Canada's innovation and entrepreneurship community. Entrepreneurs in this category are exemplary Canadians and iconic entrepreneurs leading by example in every respect. The winner of the Entrepreneur of the Year Award for the Prairie region is James Botcher, founder of Righteous Gelato, formerly Fiasco Gelato. From humble beginnings, James acquired a single gelato shop in the midst of a recession, with $1,800 in his pocket about 13 years ago. Under his leadership, Righteous Gelato, previously known as Fiasco Gelato, has built a strong culture of freedom and empowerment backed by a relentless passion. By staying true to the mission of enriching people's lives, James has led his team to becoming the first and only Canadian ice cream company certified as a B Corporation and is available in more than 2,800 retailers across Canada. A man of passion and enthusiasm, James is committed to building something that matters. Back to you, Catherine, and congratulations again to James Botcher for this recognition.
Thank you so much and welcome, James. We're thrilled to be here recognizing your entrepreneurial achievement. There's your award. It's looking great.
So cool. So cool. Thank you so much.
Well,
wow.
And apparently Mayor Nenshi is a big fan of your gelato too. He was talking about it a little earlier on the show.
Amazing. He's such a great civil servant, and I really appreciate everything he does.
Well, and clearly he likes gelato. And really, who does not like gelato? So I'd love to know what inspired you to create Righteous Gelato.
Yeah, for us, it's always been more about the essence of building something that matters. So for our organization, we spend a lot of time deciding what's most important and really getting to the point of understanding what it is that we want to create. And so when I feel very privileged that we're in a space where we can create something that really brings happiness across the world. And as we do so, we want to think differently about doing business. So it's kind of a magical thing. I feel so privileged to get to do something I love each and every day with a group of like-minded individuals and change the world.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that in terms of the changing the world element? I mean, not a lot of people would necessarily immediately equate gelato and changing the world, but you're building a culture of empowerment, and it's kind of, it seems to be reflected in everything that you're doing. Can you give us a sense of that play?
Yeah, well, actually, that teaser video with Scotiabank, I got quite emotional watching it. A lot of what was in that video is the essence of our organization, and I think right now more than ever, with all that's going on in the world, whether it's the coronavirus or what's happening right now in the Black Lives Matter movement, we really get to see how wonderful the world is, and in our organization, that's always a focal point. At the center of everything we do is community, and we've been doing a lot of things behind the scenes and then taking care of our people in our communities. So, I never like to talk too much about it because it might seem boisterous, but I'm very proud of the work that we do. And I love seeing other organizations rise to the occasion and make the world a better place.
I think one of the things that helps put a lot of people on the path to trying to change the world for the better is a sense of empathy. And sometimes empathy comes through facing challenges. It's a bit of a leveler when you have a bunch of challenges thrown your way. Righteous Gelato has faced some pretty significant challenges along the way, but you now distribute your products in every major retailer across the country, as far as I've heard. Can you talk to us a little bit about that journey, good and bad?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time in the making, as the gentleman who introduced me acknowledged. Taking over a single scoop shop in 2009, before we ever opened the doors, someone threw a brick through the window and lit the store on fire. And then we went through a recession around the same time, the Alberta floods, and in 2015, after we built this Willy Wonka meets Google factory, we unfortunately had a fire there, and really, I often say that adversity is preparing you for the next challenge. So when we look back at all of our history, when we came into what happened here in the world in March, our team was quite equipped to deal with such things in terms of making quick decisions to ensure that our supply chain and everything was still viable. And it's a testament to when companies are doing the right thing and back it by legendary customer service and a quality product that amazing things can happen. So I say if you work hard enough for long enough, good things will happen, and we feel very fortunate to have done that here in Canada.
Can you talk to us about the new company name? I mean, there's a lot of news. You have a new company name, you have new flavors. I really want to hear about the new flavors and,
Sure.
and next projects too.
Yeah, the name really came down to we had some challenges with trademarks entering the U.S. There's another company with the same name as the F word, and we got together as a team and we said, what do we stand for and what are we really about? And one of the greatest lessons I've learned in life is a rudimentary Buddhist belief, which is all suffering comes from attachment. So as companies navigate uncertainty or change, often, as you grow, you are more apprehensive to risk. And what we did as a team is we sort of threw it all out the window like kids on the playground. And we just said, if we could start again, what would we call ourselves? And we came up with all these words that really embodied who we are: happiness, community, longevity, tenacity, grit. All these things really got us to a place where doing the right thing is really who we are. just making those right decisions. And it's kind of a running joke around the office, but I was flipping through the channels and Finding Nemo was on, and Crush was riding the wave, and he says righteous. And I said, oh my God, that's it. And like everybody laughed. And what I realized that this word had sort of been forgotten since, the great surf culture and skate culture that was a big part of my childhood. And the word in itself really is about, this awesome experience. And what we often get told about our products is people knew they were going to be good. They have this very, very attractive package, these delightful flavors. They know it's going to be great, and then it's better than expected.
That's a fun way to pick a name, and it sounds like it's totally perfect for your company.
Yeah.
Before I get to my final question, which is, of course, I'm going to ask you what advice you have for other entrepreneurs.
Sure.
I need to know your new flavors, and then I need to know your favorite
Yeah.
flavor too.
It really started with dairy-free dark chocolate. People told us this is the best dark chocolate I've ever had, never mind that it's dairy-free. So for the consumer that can't have dairy, they're very, very happy that we exist. So the new flavors are a spin on those, and we've never done nuts for some considerations for allergens, but we found a way to yes on this. And so peanut butter chocolate, dairy-free, dairy-free peanut butter jam, dairy-free salted hazelnut, and dairy-free roasted pistachio, which is an ode again to the history of gelato. So my favorite flavor of all the new ones is PB&J. This is like, again, being a kid through and through. Don't grow up. It's a trap. Really was a flavor that we had done a dairy version of it as our first 12 flavors back in 2009. And now to be in a position to offer this as a plant-based offering, it is so righteous.
So quick words of advice, James. What would you say, your quick elevator pitch to another entrepreneur who is looking for some inspiration?
Yeah, I think right now the most important thing, and when I've done this through some mentorship and some conversations over the last few months, is do not forget what it took to get to where you are. You put in a lot of hard work, sleepless nights, a lot of fear, a lot of courage, and especially right now, those things that got you to where you are today, you can't forget where you came from.
That's really great. A great way to end, James. If you ever happen to need anyone for your testing team, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be all in. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you. And thanks so much to Scotiabank for this acknowledgement, the CANIEAwards, Startup Canada. There's so many amazing organizations embedded in this. And I was sharing with my neighbor yesterday that it's so powerful that even during this interesting time, we're celebrating entrepreneurship in a meaningful way. So
we're really delighted for you, James. Congrats.
Awesome.
Let's give a special round of applause to the 8 amazing innovators and entrepreneurs recognized tonight. You are truly an inspiration for all of the entrepreneurs connecting tonight from across Canada. We're delighted for you. We appreciate the work that you're doing. We appreciate the way that you're giving back to your communities as well. Remember also to make some noise on social media. Don't forget that you've been, I hope, tweeting about the CANIEAwards all night, but we want to keep the love going, keep the tweets going about the people that you have seen tonight and what they're doing. You can still use that hashtag, remember, CANIEAwards. More than ever, it's really crucial for each of us to rally together and champion entrepreneurs and businesses that are the backbone of our economy. And it's up to all of us to promote and support the entrepreneurs and innovators who are not just surviving, but thriving in these challenging times. Join us to meet more amazing entrepreneurs at the next stop on the CANIEAwards digital series in the Atlantic region on June 18th at 6 p.m. Atlantic time. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great evening, everyone.